The Archean Eon starts at the same time our geologic record does, about 4 billion years ago. In the Hadean Eon, the Earth was too hot for any rocks to form. The Archean is the first eon in Earth's history that we know enough about to divide into eras, but we still don't know enough to justify making separate videos on them. These eras in order are the Eoarchean, the Paleoarchean, the Mesoarchean, and the Neoarchean. The Eoarchean began during a period called the Late Heavy Bombardment. The LHB was a period when the number of asteroids hitting the Earth suddenly increased. We have evidence that many of these asteroids about the same size or bigger than the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. This catastrophe may have had an upside, however. It is thought that much of Earth's water was delivered by these impacts. This barrage couldn't last forever and eventually ended about 3.9 billion years ago. Simultaneously, the Earth was forming a solid crust and plate tectonics had begun. Water now covered most of the Earth's surface, and the first landmasses poked out above the water. Deep below the blue ocean, magma seeped out of the Earth's mantle and formed oceanic plates. Here, hydrothermal vents formed. These vents spewed a rich stew of chemicals into the water, and it is here we believe the most important event in Earth's history happened. It is believed that the first life forms sprung into existence from the black smoke of these vents. These early life forms were simple prokaryotes with no nucleus and no organelles. We have no fossil evidence of these early life forms, so their exact nature remains a mystery. These organisms would eventually evolve into cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria photosynthesize in order to produce energy for themselves. This strategy was so successful that it has been passed down to plants, algae, and modern cyanobacteria. On the beaches of the first landmasses, cyanobacteria formed microbial reefs called stromatolites. These stromatolites are the accumulated mass of all the bacteria that has died on the beach. They formed fossils 3.6 billion years ago. These fossils mark the end of the Eoarchean. The Paleoarchean saw great changes in Earth's environment. Prokaryotic life forms like bacteria and archaea now covered the Earth, and they began to alter the Earth's atmosphere. Plate tectonics continued and cratons formed. Cratons are very ancient and stable parts of the Earth's crust. The cratons formed the first continent, Valbera. Iron bands were deposited at the bottom of the Earth's oceans and formed thick layers. 3.2 billion years ago, the Earth was significantly cooler than at the start of the Archean, but it was still too hot for glaciers to form. During the Mesoarchean, cyanobacteria continued to take in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and produce oxygen. The removal of greenhouse gas from the atmosphere caused the Earth to cool to a point where glaciers formed at the poles 2.9 billion years ago. Cyanobacteria had caused the first ice age. The new Archean soon began. In this era, the ice from the end of the Mesoarchean all melted by 2.7 billion years ago. Cyanobacteria continued to diversify and spread across the Earth. They even conquered dry land and turned the land green. The first supercontinent formed during this time, about 2.7 billion years ago. This supercontinent was called Kennerland and was inhabited exclusively by cyanobacteria. Unfortunately for these creatures, the oxygen they produced when photosynthesizing had now built up in the atmosphere and was in high enough concentration to be toxic to them. Yet carbon dioxide they needed to produce energy had now become scarce. One can only speculate what will happen to the cyanobacteria as they enter the Proterozoic Eon.